Hey, what's going on, guys? Coach Bronson here, and it is Wednesday, and we are going to talk about fitness. Because what else are we going to talk about? Well, I guess we could talk about nutrition. We could talk about mindset. We could talk about quality of life. We could talk about all kinds of stuff. Okay, so we do talk about more things than just fitness in this group, but today that's what we're going to focus on. In particular, we're going to talk about what programming is all about. Not all about. We're going to go into the basics of programming, and by programming I mean the methodology or the techniques that coaches use in developing and scheduling different workouts, different exercises, and things like that. So we look at a schedule, we look at a week, we look at a month, we look at 6 months, a year of how do coaches determine what exercises to do and in what order and how long and all that kind of stuff. Right? So we're going to go get some basics. Hey, Renee, what's going on? Get some basics in on programming. You won't be able to go out and make your own programs after this talk, but you will hopefully, and the reason I want to do this is because I want to give you guys more ammunition. Education is power, knowledge is power. Okay? Hey, Jeannie. I want you guys to have the ability to evaluate the things that you're doing. All right, so that you can look at the program that you're part of, look at the workouts that you're doing, or when you do come up with something that you want to do, you can kind of fit it into a bigger picture of what's going on and what you're doing and how it's taking you forward. Okay, so that's one of the big things so I figured out how to do this from my phone. It doesn't lag, and I have access to cool toys. So I can even see. I can comment from here. It's all kind of cool stuff. I see comments on the screen. It's awesome. So that's something to keep in mind. We're talking big picture, understanding things from the top down, so that when you are working from the bottom up, you have a better idea how to fit the puzzle pieces together into what you need your goal to be, what you need your plan to be in order to reach your goal. Okay? So knowledge is power. We're going to give you some knowledge bombs tonight. All right. First thing to understand, okay, is I don't know, there probably is a technical scientific term for this, okay? 0.1% away from 10% muscle mass gain. That is freaking amazing, Renee. That is awesome. I love it. I love it. We should do a video sometime, just you and me, and talk about the changes you've seen just in the last few months. Ping me on that later. Shoot me a message and let's talk about that. I like that idea a lot. That's awesome. Super proud of you. That's great. Yes, I love it. Okay, sorry, you distracted me. What was I saying? Oh, some basic things to understand about fitness and programming and when you're doing routines. Okay, everybody is starting at a different place. So the things we're going to talk about are primarily focused on people who may have been started or gotten started they've been, I can't give it a specific time, but they're a little bit further along in the journey than just a brand new person. Okay, we're not talking about beginners. We're talking about that beginner level to intermediate to advanced. Okay, in that range of you feel comfortable doing things, you have an idea of remembering what different movements are. If you see it, you know how to do it. You're comfortable and you're used to doing different types of things. Maybe you've been exposed to kettlebells or dumbbells or barbells or whatever, and you feel like you've got a pretty good understanding and you're able to do most, some of the things, if not most or all of them. Okay, and the reason why is because when it comes to beginners in particular, okay, there's a scale of activity to effect. Okay, and this is what I was saying. I'm not sure if there's a scientific term for this or not, but the newer you are to something, the less effort it takes to see a greater amount of change. Okay, think about that. The newer you are at something, particularly fitness, the less effort it takes to see a greater amount of change. You have further to go on the spectrum of improving your health and fitness, so a smaller change is going to have a big effect. Okay? So it doesn't take a lot. The necessity for huge amounts of variation and a broader range of functional focus is not as important for somebody who is just getting started. When you're just getting started, the most important things for you to consider are safety and consistency. That's it. In many cases, and I hesitate to say this, but I really want you to think about it, it almost doesn't matter what you're doing. Okay? Yes, said principle is very applicable. That will come into definitely a little bit longer, a little bit further on in the discussion. So don't forget that. Okay? This is more, it doesn't matter what you do. It's almost the reverse of the said principle. Okay? If you are just getting started and you've never done anything, I don't care what you do. Go do something that's more than what you're doing now and do it consistently, and you will see improvement and progress. Okay? I'm more worried about consistency and doing something than what you're doing it when you're first getting started. Okay? There will come a point where what you're doing is no longer having as much of an effect. You have now gotten to a point where the level of effort and the effect of change have kind of met. Okay, that's when you need to find something else that has a higher effect of change. So go find something else that you're new at, okay, that has a higher level of change until those things come together again. Find something else that you're new at, higher level of change, right? The more things and the more variety you can throw into your activities and your fitness, the more effective change you're going to have when you're first getting started. All right? If you can do that and then get to a point where you find a program, and this is where what we're going to talk about comes into play. When you're making that transition and you've done that a couple times, maybe you start by walking, then you start by finding a Zumba, then you start by, that is not what we're talking about, Renee. Not running 10 miles a day with no change for a year. Maybe you start with running, then you go to Zumba, or you go to a boot camp class, or you get a kettlebell to do something, or you find some bands, or maybe you do the Apex at Home beginner program, right? And you do that for a while. Maybe you do the beginner program that I offer for 3 months or 4 months, and you get to a point where you feel like, okay, I'm still doing these. I'm not really feeling like I'm working as hard. Okay. If you remember videos we talked about before, we talked about relative intensity versus absolute intensity, right? Relative intensity, rate of perceived exertion is going to go down as your absolute intensity and relative intensity go up. The easier things feel, it's actually because you're getting better at doing more. Okay. When that happens and it's time to change, then you say, hey, maybe I'm past the beginner level and I'm ready to go into the at-home functional fitness program. Okay? This is where it's cool, because when you're doing a well-rounded functional fitness program, you're always a beginner at something. You are always a beginner at something. This is one of the super cool special things about a good functional fitness program, is that you are almost always doing something that has a higher level of effect to the effort that you're putting into it. Okay? And there's a couple reasons why. One, because everything is transferable. So if I'm doing one movement pattern, then chances are I'm learning a movement pattern I'm going to use in other areas, in other exercises, other things that I'm doing in my life. So I get to I get more volume out of what I'm doing. It's not just something I'm doing in the gym. Okay? I'm learning how to move my body properly all the time. So it's transferable to real life. It's transferable to other movements that you do. All right? And then the other thing is there's a huge amount of variety. So you're always getting something new. You're always challenging yourself with a different weight, doing something longer or shorter, doing something faster or slower, doing a new movement altogether, doing a new version of an exercise you've never seen before. There's a learning curve, and every time there's a learning curve, you're getting more out of the work than if you've been doing it for 5 years. Okay? Keep that in mind. Every time you're learning something new, you're getting more out of it than if you've been doing it forever. Okay? So it's many times it's a benefit to be a newbie. It's a huge benefit. All right? Renee, you're not doing that. That's not happening. All right. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Does that make sense to everybody? Can I get some thumbs up or some likes or something for anybody watching, if that makes sense? Okay? When you're a beginner, it takes less effort to see more progress. All right? That being said, let's talk about when you're in that functional fitness phase. Thank you, guys. When you're in that functional fitness phase and you're ready to say, okay, I'm taking part of a program, whether you're maybe already in a program or whether you're looking at options of saying, do I join this gym? Do I join that gym? This coach, whatever. Okay. I'm going to keep this super high level because we could get super in the weeds, and I don't want to do that. We could be here for hours, and I don't have hours. I got to eat dinner. I got burgers waiting for me. We're going to break this into 6 categories. Okay. 3 of them are types of movements, and 3 of them are durations of work. Okay. And we're going to call it that. So we're going to say that for basic programming, basic functional fitness programming, okay? We're looking at 3 different ways to move your body or move weight, and we're looking at 3 different types of schemes that your workouts can be in, okay? And so let's start with, and doing this within these 3, okay? Now there's 6 variables, okay? Just these 6 variables, you can put them together into hundreds of different ways, okay? Inside each of these variables, there are dozens of other variables. So we have thousands of combinations of things that we can do as coaches when we're programming for you guys, okay? All right, so let's take a look. First off, we have movements. My goodness, somebody just started vacuuming upstairs. I felt like this right next to me. Hopefully you guys can hear that. All right, so first thing we have is movements. We have 3 different basic types of exercises or movements, okay? We have weightlifting, we have gymnastics, and we have what we call monostructural, or, for lack of a better word, endurance movements, okay? So let's talk about those 3. Weightlifting. The definition of a weightlifting movement is any movement where you are manipulating or moving external weight. A dumbbell, a barbell, a kettlebell, a sandbag, a medicine ball, whatever else you can think of that you're going to move, okay? If you are moving external weight, then it is weightlifting. Doesn't matter how, doesn't matter what. We classify that at the top level as weightlifting, okay? The second one is gymnastics. Gymnastics is when you move or manipulate your own body, okay? An air squat is considered a gymnastics movement. A burpee is a gymnastic movement. A pull-up is gymnastics. A push-up is gymnastics. Okay? Anytime you are moving your own body weight, then we call that gymnastics. Okay? I do not dream I do not dream some of these movements up. I may dream about some of these movements, but I do not make the movements up. All the movements you guys do in the program are fairly standard and fairly common. Just so you know. All right, the third thing. The third one is monostructural or endurance work, okay? So monostructural, the kind of definition of that is things that are repetitive motion. So there's not a lot of complicated movement. It's the same thing over and over and over again. Running, jump rope, rowing, biking, swimming, things like that, okay? You're just doing the same thing over and over and over again, all right? So those are the 3 categories of movements and exercises that we have. Now, obviously, inside those, okay, we have all sorts of things. So under weightlifting, we can talk about powerlifting, we can talk about Olympic lifting, we can talk about kettlebell work, we can talk about sandbag work, all sorts of dumbbell exercises, right? Strongman is in there. I mean, there's so many different things that we can throw. Sled pushes, sled pulls, carries, right? There's a ton, a bazillion different things we can do in weightlifting, all right? Bodyweight movements, there's a ton of things in bodyweight movements. All the stuff I already named. Planks, shoulder taps, inchworms, broad jumps, handstands, hollow body, Superman, right? There's a ton of different things in there. Lunges, right? And some of those things, some of the things in the gymnastics we can do with weight, so now it becomes weightlifting. Weighted lunges, weighted squats, right? Doing pull-ups with weight. There's all sorts of different things and combinations, all right? And then there's the monostructural stuff. Okay, again, lots of different ways to combine to have those things, the endurance type things that nobody loves except maybe Renee. Okay? Or all you other runners or bikers or swimmers out there who are crazy and broken in the head. All right? Now, those are 3 areas, okay? Just 3 areas. When it comes to these 3, and you're gonna hear this again when we talk about the time frames, okay? When it comes to these 3, you can see a workout that is all weightlifting. You could see a workout that is all gymnastics. You could see a workout that is all endurance. Most likely what you're going to see and what you should see is some combination of the three in, if not every class, at least 2 or 3 classes or sessions a week. Okay? You should see one of these categories at least 3 times a week. All right? And the combinations vary. You may see one day, 2 the other day, 3 the next day, 3 one day, 2, like whatever. And you can see them in different portions. So in many cases, if you look at the way that I structure my workouts, there's always a strength piece. There's always some kind of weightlifting or strength. So I classify it as strength, and it can be either gymnastics or weightlifting. Okay, it can be both in that strength section, right? And then in the metabolic conditioning piece, the part that's more the high intensity interval training, that's where we see some or all three. There may be a workout that has weightlifting, gymnastics, and endurance monostructural exercises. Okay? There may be a workout where you log into the app and you look at it and it's like, all we're doing today is running. Okay? You may look at the app one day and it may only be weightlifting. Okay? There's always going to be some variation or combination of those 3 things. All right? So keep that in mind. That's one. As long as you're getting some of that every week and consistently throughout your programming, then you know that you're on the right track of having a program that is keeping you well-rounded, okay? Now, the next piece, and this is where the fun stuff comes in the high-intensity interval training piece, all right? There are 3 things that we look at. There are short workouts, medium-length workouts, and long workouts, okay? Short workouts, usually less than, I'll say for general purpose, we'll say less than 10 minutes. I like short workout. I like to define short workouts as 7 minutes or less. Okay, a medium length workout is going to be 7 to maybe 15, 16 minutes, and then a longer workout will be anything from say 16 or 18 minutes to whenever. Okay, usually in that range. If you want to keep it simple to remember, 0 to 10 minutes is a short, 10 to 20 is medium, 20 and on is a long. Okay, we'll just round it up for everybody. Okay, if you see, and here's the reason why we have those, because your body does things differently based on how you're working out. Okay, if I'm doing a short workout, I'm primarily going to be using glucose for fuel. Okay, if I'm doing a medium length workout, I'm going to be using glucose, and I'm going to be kicking some into fat for burning. If I'm doing a 20-minute or more workout, then I'm primarily or mostly using fat for fuel. So we can vary what fuels our bodies are using, okay, as a focus, because remember, we're always burning both at the same time. Don't get that confused, okay? We're not just going to burn, glucose in a short workout. We're burning both, but the primary fuel will be glucose, all right? And then in a longer workout, you're doing a 30, 40-minute workout, then the primary burner there is going to be fat as well. All right, so think about those things. So when we talk about the level of time, the amount of time that we're putting into the workouts, short, medium, long, there needs to be variety there. And this is where the SAID principle, the SAID, right, specific adaptation for imposed demands that Renee was talking about, comes into play. If you only train your body to do 10 minutes of work, then your body will only be good at 10 minutes of work. Okay? If you only train your body to do a 30-minute run, then your body's only going to be good at a 30-minute run. Okay? This is why variety is important. Outside of what we talked about as far as a beginner and getting the effect of doing something new and having the variety to help you get the most out of your workouts and the most out of your fitness goals, or the most move towards your fitness goals, you have to have variety. Otherwise, you're only going to be good at one thing, and that, by definition, is not functional. Okay? In order to be functional, you have to be adaptable and able to handle a range of circumstances, situations, stresses, and environments across the board. Okay? You cannot just be good at one thing and say that you're functional. Okay? It doesn't work that way. Sorry. All right, so keep that in mind. Short workouts, medium length workouts, and long workouts in combination with weightlifting, gymnastics, and monostructural endurance exercises. Okay, that gives us as coaches, we have all sorts of things to play around with. All sorts of things to play around with. So when it comes to looking at your program, or looking at a gym you want to join, or a program you want to join, or what you're doing on your own, you want to make sure that you've got a good mix. You know, maybe one week you have 2 short workouts, a medium and a long. And then the next week you have 2 longs, a medium and a short. And the next week you have 2 mediums, a long and a short, right? However you want to mix that up, but make sure you get some variety and you don't stick to one thing all the time, okay? So I hope that gives you guys a ton of information to kind of think about. I hope what it does is it make you want to ask more questions, because I love answering this stuff. So I love talking about it. If you have questions, if I've said something that triggers a thought in your mind, please make a comment, post it, shoot me a message, whatever, and we will definitely bring it up and talk about it on another video. Renee, I like the fact that I'm working out less and my body's responding more than when I ran for miles and miles. Crazy that I knew this, but didn't have the know-how to get after it. Yes, right? Know-how, knowledge is power. Following a program that you don't have to think about. You don't have to be a sports exercise scientist. You don't have to be a personal trainer. You don't have to be a certified strength and conditioning coach. Guess what? I do that for you, okay? Sign up for the program, the at-home program, and I will take care of all of this for you. But you still need to know and understand so that when you do see something that I put out there, you have an idea of why I'm putting it there and what it's supposed to do for you, okay? Because understanding the why behind what you're doing is going to help you be more consistent and motivated to do it. Okay, so I hope that answers some questions. I hope that maybe brings up some questions, and I hope that you ask about them if you have them. All right, take it easy, guys. I'll see you next Wednesday.